The next question, Daniel Maryland will be taking first, and the question is, people recently discharged from correctional facilities are often at high risk for long-term homelessness. Given that 47% of the homeless population in Minnesota are ex-offenders, and that a criminal record is consistently listed as a barrier to securing a job, what is your position on ensuring that those reentering society are given a fair chance at securing employment and housing?
I assume we're speaking of single people now, not married. Is that correct?
We are talking about people who are discharged.
I know, do they have families, or are they alone, or what's the social? All of the above. Okay. All of the above. Wonderful. Well, I've thought about this for a long time, and I feel that these people that are in the correctional institutions, a lot of them have programs where they learn skills. They build furniture, they do license plates, they do all kinds of things like that. And I think it would be very nice if the trade unions, I thought of this before, I haven't presented it to them, but I thought maybe that the trade unions would be willing to take them on as apprentices. Then as apprentices, they could learn the trade which they like and enjoy, and become valuable citizens and be able to find a job easier, because they'd be on the bench of the union, and when a union job comes up, they get employment.
I like that answer. It's a good one. I think you need to, these are obviously the rate at which people reoffend is astronomically high. And so we need to implement programs, and we have programs implemented at this place. We need to reinforce these programs that help people readjust to coming out of prison. And, you know, I think this is where our problem is starting. And Aristotle, one of our greatest thinkers ever, he came up with the idea of punishment instead of revenge. And he came up with that idea a while ago, and I think we're still kind of adhering to it. Prison is punishment. It's not rehabilitation. And I think this is why we're seeing the problems that we're seeing with people reoffending. We're not rehabilitating people. And until we do, I think for the most part, you know, you can try to stem the problem, but the problem is still going to be there. We need to start rehabilitating people so they can become active members in our society.
Wow, this is an august group. Quoting Aristotle now. No, 40 years ago, I was, for 20 minutes, about 20 minutes, I was a criminology major at the University of Minnesota. And I had a professor by the name of Nathan Mandel, who was the director of research for the state, what did they call it? Department of Corrections, I guess. And back then they were talking about this novel idea about rehabilitating folks who were about to be released from prison, and rehabilitating them during their stay. And of course the argument was that we will save money if we do this. When we send offenders out of prison and into society, we see them back again. But if we prepare them for life outside these prison walls, we're going to save money because we will lower our recidivism rate. Once again, we've walked away from those kinds of ideas in Minnesota, and we have to re-embrace them.
I have direct experience with that particular situation from past decisions. I've had to deal with that and having the stigma attached to that. And it is definitely a challenge. There's an organization called Men as Peacemakers, a guy by the name of Lyle Wilds. He was locked up for 20 years, and he came up with a program, positive reinforcement program, because you really need to change people's attitudes. They have a bad attitude as a result of dealing with problems in the system. And in doing that, you have to educate them that they have the ability to make a choice in their, because a lot of times people blame other people for their problems, and it's ultimately, we make a choice of how we want to feel about a situation, and that's rehab. That's what you do in rehab, is learn that. And the Men as Peacemakers and SOAR has got another program that's very similar to just getting at that and getting those types of programs going to help support that type of situation, because I think all those individuals can be very productive.
The first part of my answer is a focus on programming, both prior, during incarceration and shortly after incarceration ends. We look at what we do with programming dollars. We spend a lot of money per person in the correctional system. We need to look at how we can spend a lot of that during incarceration to make sure that they really don't come back. That's the first thing. The second thing is you look at programs such as SOAR and a number of other programs that are out there and make a true thought and investment in programs such as that. Those will prevent people from going back. The other piece of that answer is looking at the whole picture. And I've said this when it came to the chemical dependency. Somebody coming out of a correctional system for 3 or 4 years, they're going to have a lot of different situations they're going to have to deal with. Not only the employment, not only the housing, but perhaps their domestic situation has changed. And you have to look at all of those issues. If you have a father or a mother that comes out of the correctional system and is so torn because they can no longer see their children, they're going to get frustrated, and quite often they'll go back.
Thank you. All the answers we've had tonight so far have chased the after part of the before-after equation. And what we need to do is address the before. And it brings up everything we've talked about tonight. We as a state have to start again with education. We have to start with universal health care. We have to come back to affordable housing. And we have to do living wage. We need to do all of that work on the front end, because we can chase ourselves on the after side of the equation, and we will never catch ourselves, and we will never be able to help everyone who needs help in that equation. The best thing we can do is put all of our efforts and our resources on the before part, on the prevention, on the good housing, health care, education, living wage jobs, and that will keep people out of that revolving door, that recidivism that we always talk about.